So it is Monday morning, about 5 o'clock a.m., and I am doing this video. I did say I was going to do two back-to-back because of my memory on my phone being full because of all the pictures I had in there. And I spent way too much time talking about a few other people on my last video, and I did that on Friday. And I just didn't have a chance this weekend to do this video. So anyways, and I also said that I was going to be having a teenager in my house for fall break. And even though he's not my teenager, I still help take care of him. So yeah, we're going to be doing some things. It's going to be another busy week. So I probably won't be putting out, too much. I mean, it's been, I think another week since I put out a video. So it is what it is. Real life comes before YouTube, always. So this was the soonest that I could get to this video. But I did want to address parenting. I did. And before I get into that, just, real quick, and that's why I'm doing this video so early, because this week is going to be crazy again, with having the teenager in the home. I'm going to be doing things with him, and I still have to work. It's not going to be that crazy of a work week, because I was able to take some more PTO time off. So that was good. So I don't have a full work week, because my friend, he has some, after I already said in my other video that he had a heart cath done. Well, he has some post appointments to do for when he went in for that heart cath. So anyways, I will be taking him to those, and then doing my stuff for my eBay. Now, I am today going to finally, I think I'm finally at that stage, hopefully, to start posting on my eBay store. Like I said, I made things a lot harder than what they needed to be. I really did. So anyways, I'm going to be able to start posting. It was just getting that shipping down. That was the hardest. And another thing that I did wrong, I think, was trying to take so many pictures at once. And anyways, I'm going to get into a video on that another time. I already said before, I'm thinking about doing another channel that is strictly for that, maybe showing when I'm out and shopping. It makes it a little bit harder because a lot of the estate sales are about done now because it's so cold. I don't know, but I might do another channel strictly for that, because I know some people already do this. They might do it for a living, and I said before that I'm just doing it for a hobby. And, just a side thing. And it is fun. It's absolutely fun when you go to these different sales or go to these different places and you actually find some of these items. That's the fun part. It's organizing, and especially when you're in a smaller home and you are trying to find the room to put all this stuff, and trying to find the right stuff too, because you'll go to these sales or go to these different places and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. I think I'll pick that up, but it's not what's really selling out there. That's a big mistake too. So, and then the shipping just really got to me, because you want to make sure, if you are not going to pay for shipping, and shipping can be expensive, that you are using the right boxes, the right material, that the shipping cost is the cheapest for your customer. You really do. I mean, that's really important. You want to make sure it is absolutely the cheapest, so that you get good feedback, and that you ship the stuff right, so that they don't get broken items, that you don't get all those returns. And like I said, there's a lot of cleaning involved. I've already went all over that. So I might do a different channel. So that's going to be a little bit later down the road. And I've already said as well that I want to do a video showing some of the items that I'm going to be putting in the store. And I might link my eBay store, just to kind of show, you know, so you can see what I have. But I'm going to do a video at some point here showing some of the stuff that I'm putting in there. And I do want to start doing those game nights where I can do some giveaways too. Everything, like I said, I get frustrated because I got so much on my plate, and that's my fault, because I'm the one that did that. I put a lot on my plate. But on top of that, this is the month that my friends and we really get together and go do a lot of things. I've already explained why I named my channel the way I named it to begin with, because of my friend Star. Her birthday was in October, and she did celebrate her birthday all month long. When I mean celebrate it, I mean they're going to concerts, going out doing things. We called it Rocktober. So in memory of her, my friends and we tried to get together and go out and do things, you know, go out to lunches. If there's, you know, concerts going on, they don't have to be the big concerts. But just, you know, we have some friends that are in bands too, and go see them. But, you know, life happens. People work. Some of my friends still have kids that are at home. So we're trying to get together and do some stuff in her memory as well. And just to get out and connect with each other, because it's important that we still, you know, do that. We still go out and we have fun. I mean, we might be old, but, you know, we're not dead. We still like to get together and do fun things. But anyways, I've already rambled on enough about that. My goal, what I'm going to try to do, is set some goals. And today is the day to start listing things on eBay. Today has to be the day if I'm going to get these Christmas items to go. If people are interested in buying them, this is the time to do that. But my other goal would be for next week is to go live. Okay. I'm not going to try that this week. Like I said, I have a teenager in my home. So next week I am going to try to go live. But as you can see, I haven't been putting out videos a lot because it's been really busy. And I'm also trying to get ready for winter, you know, winterizing everything. I've stated that before, you know, in my home or outside of my home and stuff like that, because it gets really cold where I'm at, making sure my vehicles are all ready, you know, to go. It might sound strange, but when, you know, you do basically everything on your own, you make sure that things are done, right? So anyways, moving along from that, I've already rambled enough, and I know I do that a lot, and I do apologize. Hopefully when I'm live, I don't do that as much, because I'll be talking to somebody. Now, I might have sounded kind of rude on my last video, and I don't mean to be that way. I was trying to joke around a little bit when I was talking about Lycan, but I'm kind of serious too, even though I was joking. I don't mind to be on somebody's panel. I'm not going to be one of those that go on a panel a lot, but I don't mind doing that, and what I said was a fact. I'm not going to be triggered. I'm not going to be one of those that's going to go whining and crying, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about is parenting. I have to say I have not been on YouTube much at all this weekend, listening to much of anything, because I had other things going on. But we are going to talk about parenting because I did hear something that was said about someone's parenting. And in my opinion, it's false. And you do hear a lot about parenting in this drama circle. And sometimes you can say, yeah, you know, I kind of feel the same way. But see, we're not in someone's home to see exactly what goes on in their home and how they parent. Now, sometimes we can hear, like if they are going off, okay, on another creator, they're F-bombing, they're saying really disgusting things, and you can hear that they have minors in their home, or, you know, even maybe grown family members, you know, but especially minors. You know that they got minors in earshot, or they're doing this on a nightly. Then maybe you can raise that eyebrow and say, damn, you know, what would it be like to live in that home and have them as a parent, especially if they are doing this nightly or multiple times a day. If their minor child had to listen to this all the time, or if you have a parent that had really young children, okay, and you know they do because they talk about it, but they are on either their own channel all the time, and you hear these children in the background constantly asking for things, and a parent's like, just wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And then you see them on panel continuously. And you have, when I say smaller children that cannot really do for themselves, okay? They can't really go get things for themselves. And you have these parents that are on social media continuously. Then you gotta, you know, kind of raise that eyebrow and say, you know, what kind of parent, you know, what's going on in that household? But can you sit there and say they're a bad parent because you're not in their house? But you are raising that eyebrow because are they neglecting their children because of social media, right? Are they putting social media first? And that's when, you know, a lot of people are sitting there talking about, you know, parenting. But we're talking about creators that go on every day and for hours. And like I said, they got younger kids that you can hear screaming, and they're asking for mommy's attention. And or you have creators that are being very vile in front of their children. They're minors. We're going to stick with minors, okay? And they're saying really disgusting things, and you know that these minors have to be hearing this stuff, okay? Even if they're in another room, because the creator is kind of loud, or they're really going at it, how can you not? Unless you live in a very large home, how can they not hear this stuff? And for it to go on, like I said, multiple times a day or even every night, that can't be good. But here's the thing. I've said it before that a lot of creators are doing this for a living, okay? They are doing their channel to pay their bills and to put food on the table, and they're doing it, a lot of them are doing it solely as an income. And they do call it their business, their job. And a lot of creators, they will only go, you know, live for a couple of hours. Now, they might go on other panels and stuff throughout, you know, throughout the day, but a couple hours, you know, maybe 3 hours or something like that out of a day. That's not a long period of time. Some creators, too, will do it around their children's schedule, and you don't hear their children in the background. Seldom will you hear their children in the background. Or they'll go in another area to where their children do not hear them when they are going at another creator or going at a situation. Kind of like what I do, even though I do cuss a little bit, I do, but I don't really go at people. I don't have minors in my home except this week, I'm sorry. I do have a minor in my home, but I still, just for, you know, so other people don't have to listen to me, I make sure I go into a different room. That's why you will see different, you know, you used to see a fireplace, right? Fake fireplace. I would be in a different room. Or you see these little scenes. This is my bedroom and my TV. And these are like downloads on my TV. So I will go into different rooms in the house to where people don't have to hear me. Because it's just courtesy. They don't need to listen to this. So some creators will go into different areas of the room or their house so that their children don't have to hear what they're doing at their job. Okay? And to me, that's being a good parent. If they're going to be talking about drama and they're going to be talking about stuff that their kids should not be hearing. And again, the majority of the creators are doing this for an income. They're doing it to put food on the table and to pay their bills. And another thing that gets me is a lot of creators, well, I won't say a lot, but you will have creators that will say, well, you need to go get a job, talking about other creators they don't like. Go get a job. Well, you sitting home all day on the internet. But yet those same creators don't have a job and they're doing the same thing. Make that make sense, right? Make it make sense. And some of the ones that are screaming that don't have minor children in the home that they have to worry about. They have, you know, nobody but themselves, or their children are grown, and that would give them more reason to get out and get a job outside of the home, right? There's nothing to tie them to the home, but they're yelling at everybody else, well, why don't you go get a job? Go get a job. But yet they're sitting on their butt not getting a job outside of the home. There's other ways to make a living besides the rat race that a lot of us do on a daily. So I'm going to talk about this because I'm telling you, I wish I would have known about different avenues when my children were growing up on making a living or try to make a living, and not have to bust my ass outside of the home when my kids were little. Because I missed out on a lot. I did. When they were growing up. And I regret that. I absolutely regret it. And I felt like a bad mom, and sometimes I still do. And I talk to my kids about this. I talk about it, you know, all the time to them, that I felt like a bad mom because I was working so much, 12-hour shifts, sometimes 16, while they were growing up. I still do the 12 hours, but sometimes I had to do those 16-hour shifts. And sometimes we celebrated holidays not on the holiday because I had to work a lot of the holidays. So my kids, they got used to celebrating Christmas morning like on Christmas Eve. Okay? They got used to having Thanksgiving sometimes the day after Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving. Because they just knew that mom sometimes had to work that holiday. They knew that mom had to work every other weekend. All growing up. That was my schedule. Mom didn't get the holidays off. Okay? It depend. You know, it depend on the year. Because if I had Christmas off the year before, I had to work the Christmas off the following year. And same with Thanksgiving, same with all the other major holidays. So we had to schedule our holiday celebrations accordingly. So yes, I wish that we had some of this, you know, outside of the box income, job, you know, job situation back then that we do now. And I felt like a piece of shit mom, because even though that I would work it around, I said before that my boys were both in basketball and they were in scouts. And I got to their games and I got to their meetings and their a lot of their practices, and it was hard to try to go around, you know, my work schedule to do that. It was a lot of working out with my coworkers on, hey, I'll switch you this day, you know, to this day, or hey, I will pick up this schedule. We were short-staffed as it was. And then I went on to college too. While I was working full-time, I started college full-time. And that was after I was divorced. I went to college a little later in life. I've already explained that because my ex-husband would not allow me to go to college. So after I divorced him is when I went to college. That made it a little more difficult too. That took even more time away from my kids. But I did that to better their lives. To better our lives. To have the income coming in, more income coming in, to make sure that we had the things that we needed. Because I was the only income to support 3 kids. I didn't get that child support. Okay? So I felt like a horrible, horrible mom. because I didn't get to spend the quality time with my kids. I was too busy working. But when I did have my days off, I would be exhausted. And I did get, you know, the days off. A lot of times I would pick up days because we needed the money. We did. But when you work the 12-hour shifts, you get more days off during the week. I already said we were always short-staffed, always. But when I had my days off, those were the days, even though I was tired, we had a boat. And we would go fishing, and we would go out on the lakes. I said that we were in Tennessee at the time. I lived 18 miles from Gatlinburg, okay? So there's a lot of lakes around that area. And we would go tubing behind the boat. We would go fishing. We lived right on the river. So we would also go tubing down the river. That was free. We would go over to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and go over to Cades Cove and enjoy that. We would do a lot of hiking in the Smokies. I did things with the kids that didn't cost anything. We would go hiking up to the waterfalls. We would make a day of it. I mean, going to Cades Cove was free. We would take a picnic and go. It cost gas to put in our boat. We had a speedboat, but gas wasn't like it is now. But we would make a day of it. So I did spend as much quality time as I could with the time I had. But those memories, those kids still remember, you know, what Mom did with them. And we did a lot of camping. A lot of camping. So those are the things that we did. We took vacations when I was married to their father before that. That's one thing that I can say. We did take vacations. You know, a lot of them were to Tennessee before we even moved there. We did go to Canada. We did go to, you know, some other places too. But I'm basically talking about after my divorce. I mean, I worked a lot before that too. I have always worked since I was 16. But what I wanted to really touch in with this video is I was listening to a little bit. Like I said, I didn't listen to a lot on YouTube, but I was listening to a little bit on what Save Robbie had to say about Granny. And I'm thinking, you know, no, this isn't right. This isn't right. Because some of the things that he said wasn't true. First off, he says she's on every night, you know, she's live every night or whatever. That's not true. She's not on every night. And he called her a bad mom. She needs to go take care of her kids. She puts out there, okay, a lot of the fun things that she does with her children. And everybody sees that. The different things that she does. Taking them to the beach, taking them here, taking them there. She shows that. So, how is that being a bad mom, for one? Because she's literally showing what she does with her children. She might not be showing her children's face. That's a smart thing. That's a smart move. You might hear their voices here and there in the background, but I've already said my kids are adults and I'll never say their names because people are crazy out there in these drama streets, okay? So she does spend a lot of time with her kids. And just because she goes live for a couple of hours doesn't mean she's neglecting her children. I don't get that. I mean, just because somebody goes live and they're making, you know, she's already said this is her income on how she puts food on the table and pays her bills. So is that any different than any other creator that has children? When they go live, they're all neglecting their kids? Or anybody that has a spouse and they're going live and so they're neglecting their spouse? I mean, is there any difference? If you have a YouTube channel and you're doing it for an income, does that mean you're neglecting your spouse or your children because you have a channel? I mean, come on, fair is fair, right? Because there are some creators out there, I've already said it before, that you know that their children are hearing what they have to say. And I know a lot of people gave Granny some crap because she would do her videos in the basement, right? I'm sorry, I wish I had a basement, because then I wouldn't be going from room to room so that people didn't have to hear me, even though, you know, I don't get horrible on my videos. I do that out of respect. But what would be worse, or what would be better, or whatever, if she sat in a basement to do her lives where her children didn't hear her when she is like going at somebody, like all you other creators do, when you're really going at somebody and F-bombing and cussing and really going at people, right? Because y'all do it. If she did that in a basement where her children aren't listening to her, if they're home, if it's close to bedtime or bedtime, and they're not hearing her, or if she did it in the same room with them or in the next room where they can hear all of it, and they're like, God, Mom, what are you doing? We're sick of hearing that. I'm glad she would go in a basement to where her kids couldn't hear her. And if you look at the times that she would do her videos, they would be around when the kids would be in school. And that's kind of true. Now, out of school, you know, I can't be positive. I'm not going to sit there and look at all the times and go back and do any of that stuff. But you don't hear her children when she was really going at somebody. You don't hear any kids in the background. And then a lot of people wanted to say, oh, well, she doesn't have custody of her kids. But yet you do hear her kids in the background when she's like cooking. She was making some dinners and stuff like that. It's clear she has custody of her kids, okay? She went to a zoo, and she was at a zoo with the kids, and she, I think, has a parents' lake cottage or beach cottage or something, and she was there a lot doing videos and, you know, going to different things and showing that. And that's what I said. I liked watching Robbie, because Robbie would do videos where him and his boyfriend would be bullying, and they would be doing this and that. It wasn't all about drama. It was showing other things that they did in real life, right? And I loved watching those. It just kind of broke away from the drama. So people want to, you know, sit there. Well, she lives in a basement because she did her videos in a basement, so her children didn't have to listen. So they would be, you know, upstairs. So, you know, they want to make a joke about that. And some of the people that make a joke about her doing videos in a basement and stuff, and it's true. They don't even have their children. They're the ones that put it out there. I'm not talking about people's kids. I am talking about Granny's kids. I do apologize, Granny, if you take this the wrong way, because I am talking about your children. And if you do take it the wrong way, I apologize. It's because of what I heard. So Granny's the only children that I am talking about right now. But a lot of these people that want to talk about Granny living in a basement and, you know, she's this and she's that, don't even have their own children. Or she doesn't have, you know, say whatever, you know. So then I heard Robbie, you know, say she's a bad mom, you know, about this call. I guess Granny got a call. And I did go back and I listened to that little portion. Granny was on a live, I guess, her live video, and she got a phone call. And she had CJ on panel, and she asked CJ to take over while she took this phone call. I guess it was from her daughter's school. And Robbie wanted to say that it was a call because her daughter was misbehaving, and she came back like 10 or 15 minutes later, and basically Granny should have ended her live and took care of her daughter first because, you know, it was a call about her daughter misbehaving. That's not what was said on that live video. And Robbie said he does his research when he talks about somebody. Well, on my about section, again, I'm interested in behaviors on social media, so I do listen to things before, you know, if I want to discuss it, I want to listen to it first. So I get what he's saying there, but that's not what was said. It was her daughter's school, and she's figuring out a different arrangement or whatever. She didn't say her daughter was misbehaving. Okay? So, in his mind, Granny should have just cut her live video and say, I gotta go. But CJ had it under control. People were just chatting, right? People were chatting away. And I looked at the replay. They were just, you know, carrying on. So, but that's not what was said about her misbehaving. But here's the thing. Let's say that happened. Let's just say that Granny's daughter was misbehaving. And again, Granny, I am sorry that I'm talking about your children, okay? I'm talking about parenting in general. But since this was said about your children, which, in my opinion, you know, and when I was looking at Robbie's, and I didn't watch it all, I just watched some people were saying, because someone in his chat did say children should be off limits, and he said, or somebody in his chat said, well, he's just talking about her parenting. And then Robbie said, well, she mentions her children all the time. I know I'm getting backtracked here. So, again, some creators are saying, well, you know, if you mention your children, it's fair game. I'm getting sick of hearing that. All right? They didn't believe that before, but now they do because they don't like somebody. So, if you mention somebody's kid, if a creator mentions their children, even if they're minors, if you mention their if they talk about their kids, just like sometimes I talk about my children, even though I don't mention their names, then it's fair game to go and attack them or go after them. That's not how it works. That's not how it should work. If you all out there think that's okay, you have no morals, okay? Because you wouldn't want your children to be attacked or talked about. I know some of you don't have kids, but you wouldn't think in real life that it was okay. And you don't think it's okay. You're just following the leader. That's it. All right? Because some of you are having your children attacked now, and you don't think it's okay. You don't think it's fine. So why don't you open your mouths and speak out about others that are doing it too? You can't. You won't. Because that need to belong, right? That cult-like behavior. Go from one cult to another. I don't want to say cult, but that cult-like behavior, maybe to, like I said before, to keep growing your channel, or to get the clicks and views, and I get it, you know, you're doing it for an income, or, you know, you don't feel like you belong here, so you go somewhere else, and your morals went out the window overnight. So you don't care if someone else talks about other people's children, but if someone talks about yours, you're going to make community post after community post after community post, and people are going to say, oh, that's so wrong, that's so wrong. Yeah, it absolutely is wrong. It is, no matter if they're a minor or an adult, but especially a minor, right? Especially a minor. And Robbie had no business talking about someone's minor child. Just because they might discuss with their community about their child. Seriously. But let's just say that the school did call and say, okay, we are having an issue. And, you know, this is the issue. She talked to him on the phone, right? What was she supposed to do? Just end her live? Again, most of you creators out here are doing this for a living, right? This is your job. This is your job. So when you have subs that are paying a membership, let's forget about the super chats, but they're paying a membership. They're expecting to get something out of you. Now, granted, they understand when things come up. Absolutely. They understand that. But they're expecting to be given something for that memberships that they're paying. That subscription, right? I mean, unlike, you know, with Natasha with her Patreon, and she's not doing nothing with it. Absolutely nothing except saying, I'm going live. I'm doing a makeup sale. All these people that are paying at least $5, all the way up to 20-some dollars, okay? She's not giving them anything. She has told them that she would be doing lives at least 3 times a week. She's had that since what, May? She's only done a few Patreon lives. So she basically is deceiving them or lying to them. Because she's not giving them anything over there on Patreon. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And she can't say, well, I ain't got time for it, because she has time to do makeup sales. She has time to do the drama, but she doesn't have time to do what she says she's going to do. So when creators have memberships and they're making money, then their subscribers expect them to give them something, right? For the money that they're given. So subscribers absolutely understand if you got something that comes up and you got to go, you got to go. But if it's just a phone call from school saying, hey, we got a situation, and you talk to him, okay, we'll deal with this. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, because that's not what happened. She didn't say that. It doesn't mean she has to stop her life, like Robbie said, right? It's kind of like, I got a phone call. I remember it, because I said in one of my videos that when I was talking about bullying, this is a while back, my son, my oldest son, got into one fight in high school. Okay? No, I think it was middle school going on to high school. I can't remember which it was. I think it was maybe high school, and then it was the next year. But anyways, he got into a fight with the kid, and I always taught my children, you never throw the first punch. Never. No matter what. But if that punch is thrown at you, you defend yourself. But never throw the first punch. So he got into a fight with the kid. It was the last day of school. I can't remember if it was junior high going into high school, or if it was just in high school. So a punch was thrown. It was the last day of school, okay, for summer break. And this kid started a fight with him, and he punched my son. Of course, my son punched him back. And I believe broke his nose, if I'm remembering this correctly. Now, it happened in the gym, on the bleachers, and there was a lot of witnesses. And I got a phone call. I was at work. I got a phone call, okay, telling me what happened, and it was almost at the end of the day, telling me what happened, and they were going to suspend both of them for 3 days. I think it was 3 days or a week. I'm not sure which it was. For the next year, starting the next year. And I talked to them on the phone, and see, my kid, he was a very, very good student. Never caused any issues. And I don't think this other kid caused any issues before either. And I'm thinking, if I remember right, this was over a girl. It was stupid. It was boy stuff, right? But anyways, they were going to suspend both of them at the beginning of the next year. And I'm talking to them on the phone, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, what happened? What went down? And they said they had witnesses, and they told me what happened, and I'm like, then why is my son getting suspended for defending himself from a punch? So they talked about it for a little bit, and as it ended up, since there was witnesses, I mean, the gym was full of people. The other kid did get suspended. My son did not, okay? And I also, when I did that video, I said that my son and that kid, right after that fight, they became good friends, and to this day, they're still friends, okay? So it was just one of those boy things, I know, boy things, where they had to do what they do. But I did not take off work to go there, because they didn't tell me, you know, you need to come pick him up. Like I said, it was at the end of the day. If they would have said, you need to come pick up your son, I would have came and picked him up. But they said, no need. It's at the end of the day. You know, he can ride. No, at that time, I'm sorry, he was driving. So yes, he was in high school. I had to think about that. He was driving, I believe. Like I said, it's been a little while back. But anyways, they didn't tell me I had to come pick him up or anything like that. But it was handled. I didn't leave work, okay? I worked outside of the home. Kind of like the same scenario, right? This is a job for Granny. This is her income, right? She's, I don't know if she was getting super chats or anything like that, but she's getting memberships. And should she have just said, oh, I gotta go, guys, even though it wasn't, you know, a situation where she had to do that. Just because she got a phone call from a school doesn't mean jack. You don't know what happened in that phone call. You don't know what was said. And she was only live for what? A couple hours? An hour and a half? I don't know exactly how long. But she could have always returned that phone call after her video. Or it was already handled. But what I'm trying to say here is I took care of the situation while I was at work. And I said, no, I'm not going to accept my child being kicked out of school the next year for him defending himself. You know, he didn't throw that first punch and he was defending himself. He wasn't going to have someone keep beating on him. And there's witnesses, right? Yeah, there's witnesses. This is how it went down exactly the way your son said it went down. And there's witnesses to back him up. Then why is my kid getting suspended? Is he supposed to let this kid beat on him and just take it? So I was able to handle it while I was at work. And I didn't have to leave work. Right? Just like people that are on YouTube. Some people have had, and I've listened to some where they've had to, wait a minute, I got a phone call. Okay? And they've taken that phone call. Have they ended their streams? Or wait a minute, you know, I'm in the middle of making dinner because they might have, you know, scheduled their live while they're making dinner or whatever. I mean, I put mine on pause a lot because my dogs yap. Things come up while you're doing a stream. If it's extremely important, then you might have to end your stream. But not because of a phone call. Right? And another thing, kids are going to misbehave. All right? If you have parents out there that says, nope, my kids don't misbehave, especially teenagers, you're lying. I had great kids. I already said that. My kids were great. But they still were teenagers. They still did things that they shouldn't have done. They still got privileges taken away. Because they were teenagers. Remember back when you were a teenager? What did you do? Think about it. Think about it. Teenagers are going to be teenagers. Kids are going to be kids. Sometimes we have kids that, you know, have more issues than others. But just because your child misbehaves, maybe in school, or maybe they're misbehaving a little bit at home, does not mean that you can just take off work every time it happens. Some people that don't have children don't get this concept, okay? They don't understand it. You still got to make a living, right? You still got to carry on with your day. You handle the situation when it arises, and then you move on. That doesn't make you a bad mom. And I had to get over it. Sometimes it still bugs me. Of me thinking I was a bad mom because I had to work 12 hours, sometimes 16. So for some of these creators that are only on a live for a couple of hours, maybe 3, or maybe jump on panels here and there, that ain't jack shit compared to having to work outside of the home for 8 to 12 hours a day. Does that mean every parent, including fathers, okay, let's bring the dads in. Does that make them shitty dads because they're working outside of the home? They're an absentee father? Let's leave the moms alone for a little bit. What about the hardworking dads out there? Should it all be put on the mamas? I don't think so. What about the daddies? They're out there busting their butts for their families. So does that make them horrible because they're out there working? They can't get all those phone calls, right? They can't leave work. And there's a lot of single dads out there that are raising kids on their own. You know, for whatever reason. They don't have the mom in the picture. So does that make them horrible parents? Because they're not at home? They're gone busting their butt to try to make a living for their kids? Or again, the moms. They don't even have to be single moms. They could be married. But all the moms that are out there working outside of the home. So basically, what I am hearing is all of us mothers that worked outside of the home too are bad moms. Because sometimes you have to fight your battles when it comes to your kids. Right? You take care of the important things. Important things. Sometimes you have to fight your battles when it comes to kids. And I don't think for a minute that Jessica Lynn's kids are going to say, oh, we're not going to talk to you. We hate you, Mom. Because she made some live videos and was on YouTube for a couple hours. You know, maybe every other day, sometimes once a day. Maybe 3 hours a day. Maybe jumped on some people's panels here and there. When most of the time they're at school. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. When you have some other people that you're friends with that are on all the time. And they have children as well, right? We're okay with that. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're great moms. Let's give them kudos. Even though we won't go there. We won't go there. And then we want to talk about Jessica Lynn's felony. Everybody wants to talk about her felony. Let's talk about that because, you know, that makes her a bad mom too. Because she's got a felony. So we are going to talk about that and then we're going to end it. She was open about her addictions and her felony and what happened, and she took 100% responsibility for what happened. Unlike some people, okay, that made, you know, lies up about what happened with theirs or with their situation. But it can happen to anybody. I could have, like I said, with my past, growing up, and then the abusive marriage I was in, I could have easily became an addict. To take away the pain. I had knee surgery. One of the number one causes to, well, I could say one of the number one causes of people that turn to addiction is when they have had an accident and they get hooked on their pain pills and then it escalates. And then you have people that has had a trauma in their life and they try to ease that pain with using drugs, right? But a lot of people want to degrade her with this felony. You know, I don't remember. I think she was on probation, I don't know, for 4 years, 5 years, something like that. She did something right, because when you're on probation, they do drug test, right? You have to keep your nose clean. She did that. She did that. She paid her debt to society. Now, the theft was, what was it? Stealing clothes or stealing at a store? At a store. Now, I'm not for stealing of anything, okay? But if that's the worst, really, come on, people. You know there's a lot of you out there in this YouTube circle that has done a lot worse, and you just haven't got caught. You were lucky enough not to get caught, or you did and got yours down to a misdemeanor. Right? Right? How many of y'all, and you know a lot of you do, you go to bars, right? Or go over to your friends, you know, you're having a holiday party or whatever, and you're drinking, right? You're drinking, and then you drive home. You drive home. You're committing a crime. You're committing a crime every time you do it. And in my state, it could be a misdemeanor if you're caught, but sometimes it can be a felony. It just depends on the situation. Just like pot. Pot's not legal in my state. Most of the time, it's a misdemeanor if you're caught with it, depending on how much you got on you. All right? Depending on how much you got on you. So, it's still illegal here. So, you can actually, you know, the simplest things as a smoking pot, having pot in your car, can land your butt in jail. But let's go back to the drinking. There's a lot of people, a lot of you, I'm sorry, that will go over, especially the holidays coming up, Christmas. You go over to your families, you drink eggnog, you know, with some rum in it, or you're having some wine, or you go out to the bar, right? Go out to the bar, have a few drinks. Don't think nothing of it. Think you're completely fine to drive. Don't think you're toasted at all. Whenever you're driving, you're committing a crime every single time when you drive home. And what can you do? You think that you're completely fine, but you're not. You're under the influence. You get into a wreck, you can kill somebody. Right? So, what is worse? Stealing a few clothing items when you had a active addiction going on years ago? Or, I don't know, driving while under the influence and maybe risking killing somebody? Killing some children, or really hurting them severely, because you are committing a crime every time you leave that bar and get behind the wheel, thinking you're okay. You're not even supposed to drink a beer. I mean, you drink one beer and, you know, have that one drink and get behind that vehicle. Yeah, there's different limits or whatever, but you know you shouldn't be doing it, right? And again, how many of you out there that keep wanting to scream, felon, felon, have you got busted with something that was a felony charge and you got it down to a misdemeanor, right? Or how many of you guys done stuff and just haven't got caught? Like I said, one of them being drinking and driving. Because you know there's a lot of you out there that have done it. A lot of you. So when you want to keep sitting there screaming about someone that's got a felony because they took things out of a store, which shouldn't have done. They shouldn't have done. And they already said I shouldn't have done. And they paid their debt to society. It's done and over with. And it's been how many years? Get over it. Get over it. Because there's worse things you can do than stealing from a store. All right? Again, I'm not saying that, especially if you have your child with you, I am not saying stealing is good at all. But there's worse things that some of y'all have done out there than stealing from a store, and you know it. That some of the same ones that are screaming about her being a felon. You just don't want people to dig in your closet and find out what you've actually done. So does that make her a bad mom? Well, she paid her debt to society. She didn't hide it. She actually said that it saved her life. We listened to the story. I think Robbie no, it wasn't Robbie. Never mind. Robbie didn't do that. That was Lycan that did a little video about it. That was a nice little video about a recovery way back when. But then Robbie wanted to bring up her father again. Seriously, Robbie, that's not nice, okay? On what he, his past or whatever. It has nothing to do with YouTube. He's not on YouTube. That's no better than what Natasha did. And you don't know the story. You don't know the background. Okay, it's in black and white. But do you want people, you don't like people digging into other people's situation and their family and stuff like that. It shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be done by anybody. But back to parenting. Just because you did something in the past, all right, and you corrected it, doesn't make you a bad parent. Just because you have a YouTube channel and you go live every now and again, or even every day, doesn't make you a bad parent. As long as you don't have your children sitting there while you are screaming and saying some really foul things, if they're not listening to it, it doesn't make you a bad parent. All right? Children don't come with manuals. You will make mistakes as a parent. We all do. No one's perfect. But yeah, I have adult children. So I am so glad that they tell me, Mom, you did a good job. And I can also tell how my children act around others, because they don't degrade people, okay? They don't. They stick up for themselves, but they don't degrade others. They're very considerate of others' feelings. They're very helpful. They're hardworking. They take care of their children. And they help others. So I know I raised them right. I have lots of regrets. And the biggest one, like I said, is all the hours I've worked. And I had to work. That's my biggest regret. But my kids let me know all the time that you did it for us, Mom. But, sometimes, like I said, they ease my mind with that. But I know I did something right because I am so close to my kids. So close to them. My boys, well, all of them, would never, ever degrade me. They would never cuss me out or call me foul names. So I absolutely know I did something right in raising my children. So no, it doesn't make you a bad mom or a bad father to do something outside of the box and try to make a living. As long as you are supporting your children, paying your bills, okay? All these other people are not paying your bills. All these other creators, they're not paying your bills. So it's none of their business. It's absolutely none of their business. So with that, I'm going to go. I already rambled on enough. I just wanted to talk about parenting. Because in my opinion, just in my opinion, those that do not have children have no right to talk about parenting. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what we go through, right? They have no right to talk about parenting. Until they've been through it, they have no idea. None. And for those that don't have their children, okay, in my opinion, again, they have no right to talk on someone else's parenting. So with that, I'm going to go. Like I said, it might be a while before I put out another video. I'm going to shoot for next week on going live. I really am. So we'll just see how it goes. And today, hopefully, is the day that I can get some stuff in that store. We'll just see. We'll just see. Maybe in a couple of days, I'll give an update on how all that's going. So, again, to all you mama and daddies out there, we do the best we can, right? We do. We know when there's abuse going on out there. We know what to call in. When if you call in something to CPS, you know what is real and what is not. Stop with this fake CPS call-ins. They're busy enough, okay? I wanted to put that out there too. You know what is real and what is not real. What is real abuse and what is not real abuse. Being on YouTube and doing a live video, and that is not abusing your child. Get over it, okay? Stop with the BS on that. That is not abuse. Some of y'all are ridiculous. But anyways, everyone have a great Monday, if that's possible, and we'll talk to you again.